Pentagon report is detailing a dramatic increase in UFO sightings, more than 350 since 2021. Is there life on other planets? Scientists may be one step closer to an answer.
There is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
Yes, we are here. Occam's razor be damned. We are here to talk tic-tac, saucers, and spheres. Break out your cigars at the end of each episode. Ronnie talks about stars. How are you doing today, Ronnie?
I'm actually doing pretty good. Got an interesting topic on an alien water world and a little bit on how we actually try to communicate with other planets.
All right. That sounds fascinating. We're going to get into that, and as well of all the communication and the way we look for life on other planets, all that good stuff coming up towards the end of this episode. But the first thing that I want to start this episode off talking about is the new footage, new-ish, still new enough that we're gonna jump our podcast off today with it. Footage from Arrow, the government-funded UAP research program, that took some very interesting footage. So I'm going to play some for you guys now. Ronnie, have you seen this one? Talking about the sphere, of course.
Yeah, I actually seen this video as well fairly recently. Like I was actually telling you before, it's very strange. It just doesn't make sense to me to make an aircraft in such a spherical shape due to any kind of wind resistance or anything like that. It just doesn't seem like it should.
Yeah, why would they make something like this? Also, just in general, a more to the point even. Yeah. I'm not aware, and I would love for you guys, literally, I'm not joking, in the comments, tell me what I'm missing here, because I'm not aware of anything on planet Earth that we make, that anybody can make, that flies in a straight line like this, and not even just aircraft. There is no missile like this. There's nothing like this. I'm not aware of any sphere-shaped things that are man-made, period, that can fly.
Unless you stick them in a cannon.
Yeah, somebody shot a giant cannonball. That's not. Hey, And
back in the 1800s.
And for reference, this fucking thing is huge, okay? So this has got to be the biggest cannonball you have ever seen in your life. Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ. I like how, seriously though, you can see these people. I mean, this is in the Middle East is where this footage takes place. But you can see these people, in their house. They're running back into the house. And I'm not making jokes here, but at all. But because it's the Middle East, maybe they think this is a missile, this is a bomb or something. But again, this is not. This is a flying sphere, my friends. So this video also, Arrow, Dr. Kirkpatrick from Arrow said this one is still, even to them, unresolved, even though this was shot from a Reaper drone, so you get crystal clear imagery in color and not in black and white, in broad daylight, nonetheless. I mean, what more do you guys want? We talked last episode about how people don't appreciate all the data that comes with the black and white footage of the Tic Tac and the all the Nimitz footage and all that stuff, is because it holds a lot of data, but they want crystal clear imagery, which can be faked. Well, this is from a Reaper drone, not fake, released shown in the Senate hearing for Arrow, to them, and saying this is still unresolved, and it's crystal clear and it's in broad daylight.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot better than any of the videos we've actually had in the recent years, and a little harder since it is coming from a government association and everything for us to be like, no.
Yeah, you can't. You just can't. And if they're saying, Dr. Kirkpatrick, before we get off and show you the next video here, I want to tell you that Dr. Kirkpatrick actually has a bit of a history being a protege to a guy that was a professional kind of UFO debunker. So Dr. Kirkpatrick isn't somebody they put him in this seat because of the fact that he does not believe that there are extraterrestrials flying
Really?
around out there. Yeah, he doesn't believe that at all.
An expert in debunking, and he's still being like,
Well,
this
he
one's
comes
actually
from a
weird.
guy, I forget the guy's name, but it's kind of like his who he came up underneath that was another government official that was just very much against the idea that there is extraterrestrial life, and certainly that they're here at all. And he is of that, so he has came up under that kind of.
Is that Ronald Moultrie?
It might be. Who is that?
Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security, Ronald Moultrie and Dr. Sean Kirkpatrick.
Yeah, that might be Moultrie then. Yeah. They both these guys, they don't that's part of the reason he was put in this seat, because they do not believe that at all.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting.
Kind of the best people to have on the seat.
Yeah, yeah, it's quite interesting when he puts out a video. I'm going to show you the other one now, but the other one, we're going to talk about this too. Says at the end of it, like afterwards, well, this could just very well be an airplane. But that's after at this next video. But that Sphere video, you know, even he says this is unresolved.
Yeah.
And that's where he wants to leave it, because he is not one to jump to conclusions at all. But I think that is the best kind of person to have there. And then when you get a guy like that wants to discredit this stuff if he can, and then he can't, and he's in a Senate hearing and showing the video, that's pretty damn impressive. So I want answers for that Sphere, you guys. Comment down below. I want answers about what you guys. I'm an idiot. I'm here for it. What am I missing? What am I missing? Here's the next video. This one shot, and I forget what they call it, but it's basically taking footage faster than your eye can see. And so when you see the plane that looks like it's sitting in midair, that's because it barely looks like it's moving whatsoever. So when you see this object go past it in blazing fast speed, wouldn't be able to see that with our own eyes. It's moving so fast. We just wouldn't be able to even see that. What do you think about this video, Ronnie? What does this tickle your fancy? Does this get you up in the morning?
The only thing I can really say about that one is one of the ways that you could fake those kinds of videos is just video overlay.
Video overlay, okay.
And you can have one object moving a lot faster than objects in the background. But otherwise, I mean, it's all through infrared, and they captured it on that as well.
Well, but and also, actually, I love that you said that, because that's the kind of stuff we're going to get into even more of on this show today, is being honest with ourselves and what you could do. So that's very true. Video overlay, and that you can fake almost anything, but again, I'm going to resort...
Yeah, especially with new AI and everything that came out.
But I'm going to resort back to the fact that this is Arrow, who is government funded, presenting this video to the Senate. So I doubt that they didn't look... And under a guy that wants to debunk stuff. So I doubt that he didn't look at it when they look at this footage and go, where did it come from, first off? Is this some military footage? Is this citizen? And then if it is something that can be questioned, we're looking at, has the video been tampered with? That is another good thing that I will say that has come with all the technology that confuses everything today, where we're talking about video overlay, AI systems, the graphics that we have today, where we can make anything. We also have very good people, the same people that can do that kind of stuff can look at a video and get into the video and see if it has been tampered with.
Yes.
So that's good as well to have.
And the fact that, I mean, is this one also still unresolved, just like the previous one?
He doesn't say that. He shows it and says, why am I showing you this? Because that first video is unresolved, but this video could very likely just be a commercial airliner, it says. So.
Yeah, it looks nothing like
an airliner. It's also
it's almost kind of square.
Also, is it fake? Is it fake? Why are we showing the video if it's fake in the Senate here? Yeah. Tell us that it's fake. Don't 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 tell us that the video hasn't been tampered with at all, but then say that it's just a commercial airliner that is moving faster than the eye can see past another commercial airliner that is standing still in time.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah,
look at
Jesus.
these two different commercial airliners, man. They got some strange shapes nowadays.
Let's see if the Russians built one of those. All right. Well, that was that. Now, we have another thing to get into before we let Ronnie talk about his stars and outer space stuff. This was a documentary that has come out more recently. It's been out for a little while, few weeks, I think, a month at most, not very long. But I was very interested in it because, again, I have watched and listened and read on all of these subjects for so long, man. I was aware for a long time about this story of, what is it, Varginha, the city of Varginha, when in Brazil, when they had a crash landing, supposed crash of a UFO in the city of Varginha in Brazil, and then followed up, I mean, and there's no footage of this, but we have a lot of kind of, how would you say, connective tissue in this story, right? Where you get the crash going on, Ronnie, then we get witnesses, and I'd heard about this, but this was a documentary that had more recently come out by a guy named James Fox. And yes, when I saw his name, I go, Jamie Foxx is doing...
Oh my God.
All right. Just a little joke in there. But yeah. But he put out this documentary about this thing. So we get a lot of connective storylines here, even though there's not footage. They say that the thing had crashed. Someone witnessed it. A guy, several people witnessed it falling out of the sky. Guy comes up to the crash site, sees the crash site, smells a repulsive smell that smells like sulfur or bad eggs. And then we get the military coming, telling him to kick rocks, get out of there. Then the military's there, other people, multiple, like literally tens of people in the city saying, yeah, well, the military, I never seen a UFO, even the guys that didn't see that, but the whole city saw the streets, all of his small town, swarming with military.
They even set up attractions and everything after the fact.
So it's well known by the city, Yeah, it's. Then we get the girls say they see the creature, 3 sisters walking home. Then we get a military official that is one of the many that came out there that supposedly is the person that touched and grabbed to capture the creature. He dies literally like weeks after. Like literally, and a young, healthy man, very young, dies weeks after that. It's very, very strange stuff. Yeah. And a lot of these different stories that corroborate each other. We get the military officials talking here. We get doctors at multiple different hospitals saying, yes, they tried to bring this thing in a bag and have us x-ray it. It smelled like sulfur and eggs, all that good stuff. So, I made Ronnie watch this documentary so that we could
Took a lot of persuasion.
That's it. So that we could talk about this stuff. I do think that it's worth talking about. And, yeah. So what did you think about this whole thing, Ronnie? What is your, don't give your whole takeaway on the debunk of it, but first just kind of warm us up here. What did you think about this documentary?
I thought it was very entertaining, but also interesting. Seeing the gentleman that revisited the crash site after saying that he had been there when it went down
was
and everything.
Crying. And
he was crying, and he was very emotional about it, which, I mean, that is kind of hard to be that panicky and emotional on cue. There is that. The girls, I mean, people can make up a lot of things and talk.
They can.
And get together and talk about it and that kind of stuff, But,
yes. What about the doctors?
In what sense?
The doctors that said that the military brought something there in a bag or a box and made them x-ray, and that they were standing around the whole time with guns, didn't let them look at the x-ray.
Well, The only thing I really think on that, I mean, it is weird, but then again, I don't know military practices over in that part of the country, so
Right.
it very well could be that it is for more not privacy, security risks. They don't want to delve any information on the actual person and who they were or what they were related to in the military or anything like that. So they keep them bagged so there's no identifiable faces, and then they take the
Is
X-rays
that
from
really
the doctors.
something they do?
It's a strong possibility, but I'm not 100%
Okay,
sure.
so
Because, again, I don't know the practices in Brazilian military.
Yeah. Well, you were in the Brazilian military, were
Oh,
you not?
yeah, as an American, totally.
Well, listen. You know, sometimes they need a specialist in there, Ronnie. We don't know. All right. Well, as my phone goes off, I actually whipped my phone out because one of the things that I find the most interesting about this story is the flight path, right? When they kind of have the alien creature and they go from place to place with it. Let me play a clip if I can find it. Now, I think that this is it. So, and we want to pay attention to where this alien went to. Oh, so wait, was that it? Let's see if that. I forget if this was. All right. So where does it fly to? Okay, so it goes to Campinas. Let's see. Let's see, Ron. Are you staying with me here?
I'm trying.
Okay.
Then Humanitas,
Humanitas.
then Eza, then Campinas.
Okay, so Humanitas, then Eza, and then what, Ronnie?
I cannot hear that.
Humanitas, Eza, and Campinas.
Okay.
Okay, so that's what I find really this will be interesting here. Let's see one more time. I think this is a good clip right here.
Campinas.
Wait. That wasn't it. That wasn't it at all, Ronnie.
If
Okay.
you say Campinas again on this podcast, it might get us shut down.
No, listen. I just listen. I don't speak Portuguese, but I just think like.
Campinas.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I can't get this thing off onto the one I wanted to play. Somebody's asking about
Hey,
where
welcome back.
where it went.
Campinas.
Oh, here it is. Okay, this is where he's asked about the government. Where does the thing fly to? Okay, here we go. We're going to play this one now. Let's see.
Know anything about this case?
Oh.
Boy, we're trying to see, folks.
One more time for the crowd. So it goes to Humanitas and then Eza. And then where does it end up, Ronnie?
Yeah, probably like Campinas.
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 Okay, so yeah. All right, listen, that was a long-winded.
That was about 2 minutes of the word Campinas. Are you happy?
Well, I just
I
think
think
that
this really solved a lot in the alien community.
I don't speak Portuguese or anything, but I just think that
He loves that word.
Well, listen, if it goes off from Campinas and flies into the
Humanitas?
No. It's after Humanitas when it goes from Campinas to Virgin.
Okay.
Campinas, Virgin.
In Humanitas. Who knows?
So a Campinas into a Virgin. All right. That's
I'm so glad we spent 3
yeah. No, but all right, let's get serious again. I just thought that was great. By the way, I did lose a goddamn clip here. We still made that work a little bit, I think, but I lost the clip at the end where the guy fucking says it 5 times in one sentence, and that would have been brilliant to play on.
Would have been great.
I
Instead,
want credit
we brought it to
anyway.
you live.
I want credit for it anyway, even though I lost that video clip.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, no. So I think that it is fascinating. Because of all of the different eyewitness testimonies. There's a lot of them. And none of them contradict the other ones. They
is all
all
very
say
similar,
the
yeah.
same smell.
Even-
Those girls, that guy that's in the military that said he drove it in the truck, the doctor that took they don't know each other. Everyone describes a rotten eggs, strong sulfur smell in their nose that they can't get rid of.
I can't remember if the family that didn't want to be shown on camera or anything said the same things, but even what they were saying still was so similar to everyone else that the
Yeah.
entire town would have had to get together and corroborate an entire
Yeah, and these are
story
people that they just
around
don't
it.
know each other. They just
Yeah.
don't know each other. Even the mayor of the city of Vargin believes this.
Right,
happened.
and you can see.
I mean,
where
I
the-
don't know about the mayor of Campinas, but
It's fair.
okay.
Wow.
Yeah. But no, all right. So listen.
Even in the crash site, it's kind of cool. You can see like the way the earth is and everything. You can tell that with all the other farmland, it used to be a lot greener, but now the earth itself has, since it might have been disrupted,
Yeah.
there isn't as much greenery. It's more yellowish and more dead,
Yeah.
which could be through any kind of chemicals that would have came with the ship.
Yeah.
It's still in the
And now I want to kind of connect this for a second to all right, so listen, we have a lot of fun in this podcast, and so as we just did, we like to keep things lighthearted, but there is a disease,
Yes,
Right.
harlequin ichthyosis.
Harlequin ichthyosis.
Yes. It is a genetic disease, mostly in infants, that does cause severe thickening of the skin that can look very deformed, and their eyes will be coated in a gross kind of glossy red color.
Right, because we left out the part where another thing they always say along with the smell is that the description of the alien remains the same. It had bulging red eyes,
Oily skin.
oily, smelly skin. That it was screeching, crying, looking like it was being affected a lot by the sun and the heat.
Yeah.
So the bulging red eyes, the skin. They said that it was about 4 feet tall, which I mean, again, dude, just technically could be, about the size of a child.
Yeah, say like a 4-year-old, and with not very great access to medical care or being born in that type of a situation where you kind of look like that, parents are more apt to maybe shun you and not take great care of you. So even if they were to grow up and not get the proper medical care, they could still have some of that thickening skin and eye problems. Try going out into the sun when you have severe skin conditions. You're going to be screaming too.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, and I wanna bring something up here as well. There was a woman who I've heard about a long time ago. If you guys know about George Knapp, who was big into the whole Bob Lazar deal, brought Bob Lazar to life. So this is a roundabout way of telling you something here. So George Knapp said that he was promised an interview after finally being able to talk with a guy who literally was one of the heads at Area 51 and was the head director of like the nuclear programs that took place there at Area 51. And George Knapp finally was able to contact this guy where he agreed to talk to him, told him some things about the happenings at Area 51. Now, he was promised an official interview that he could film and or record audio of with this guy, and that never ended up happening. This is when the man was at a very old age. Now, there was a woman, and her name was Annie Jacobs, and Annie Jacobs snagged this interview from that guy. He was 86, I believe, or something. His wife was there with him, very old, and was crying, saying, "Please tell me this isn't true." And he looked at his wife and he said, "I'm afraid it is." Told Annie Jacobs not what he told George Knapp. Which he told George Knapp, "Yep, there's aliens. We have recovered craft. Da da da." told Annie Jacobs in her interview that she got with him that that Roswell was the Soviet Union using deformed children to put inside of a somewhat flightless, back at that time, saucer-shaped drone kind of thing that you can put bodies in, and there would be a mothership, like a bomber, that would be attached to the bottom of it, and the ship would fly over the mothership and release the smaller craft underneath to kind of just glide for a bit down till it crashes.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that is what she said happened. That is what the Roswell event she was told by this man.
It was supposed to be kind of like a simulated alien experience.
Yes,
rather than
to
actually
freak
real.
us out,
Yeah.
to show us that that the
What
Soviet
year was Roswell?
47.
I mean, that's pretty 1947, obviously.
Yeah.
That actually does make sense. As a scare tactic, try to discourage
Yeah.
military.
Yeah, they wanted to show us supposedly
Or
that
distraction.
that and this is a far-fetched kind of thing, but when we're talking about these kind of subjects,
Everything's a little far.
everything's a little far-fetched. The reason that I bring this up is that this is a very old story, that this was a possibility for Roswell. What did we talk about as well before in our last podcast? The way that we use spying and getting information at all times, no matter what is going on. Now, in the Cold War, at the end of World War II and the beginning of the Cold War, there was no greater time in history for spying and stealing and reusing information, reusing tactics, and all these things, so that we could.
In fact, switching from chemical warfare to psychological warfare as well.
Yes, see, so that's where I'm going, is all of these tactics, to use these tactics before actually getting into a war, which thankfully had not happened. But that is why the Cold War is all about spy games, stealing technology, stealing tactics that are effective. And if they did this, this guy says as well, one of the heads at Area 51, head of the nuclear program, said that is what the Soviet Union did, that's what Roswell was, and they were deformed children that were deformed and surgically modified by the Soviets to scare us, make us think that these are aliens and for mind games. Now, he says that we had figured this out after a while. And saw that they purposefully did this, and that we did as well. That we use this tactic as well.
Yeah.
And so therefore using handicapped children.
Handicapped or children that might have been normal at one point until.
Yeah, and so the reason that I bring this up is that this is a possibility. What is the name of the thing again, Ronnie, that you found with the disease?
Harlequin ichthyosis.
Harlequin ichthyosis. I'll show you some pictures right now, and I would warn you that this is very serious, very brutal stuff. These
very
are kids.
Graphic imagery.
It's very graphic. These are kids. This is sad stuff, but I just really feel like this is actually important to show you for a second, because of the fact that.
And we'll kind of show it next to pictures of what the girls interpreted the alien to be like.
Yes, we will. And so, exactly. This is why I think it's important. And listen, full disclosure here. When we were talking back and forth after we watched this, and Ronnie said, the way you're describing that and the way they describe it, it sounds like just possibility could be this. I immediately thought, yeah, let's see it. And he goes, well, I don't want to show you the thing. It's pretty messed up. But I said, yeah, right. Because in my mind, I'm sure that I know that there is horrible diseases out there. There's horribly painful things, even that children unfortunately have to go through. I never really saw anything like this. Because this doesn't look like it, unfortunately, of course it's a poor child, but it doesn't really like even resemble a human being anymore. And I'd never seen anything like that.
And it is good to know that like more than 50% of the kids born with a condition do die within a few weeks of birth. So while the mortality rate is high, there is still the possibility of some of them surviving. And when they do, obviously they're going to have a lot more medical issues later on in life. Something taking into account of the smell that people were talking about, the ammonia and sulfur, that could be due to a lot of internal diseases within a human as well. Your breath can kind of start smelling like kind of ammonia.
What about the skin as well?
Skin? I mean, if you're
in the Harlequin ichthyosis case.
And I'm not 100% sure. They don't really talk about the smell of it too much, just more how they get rid of it, just due to scraping and stuff like that. But the smells could be coming from internal source of sweating and stuff like that if you have severe kidney disease and anything like that. So if the person is out in the blazing hot sun, they don't do well under that because of their skin condition. They could have been sweating profusely or breathing heavy, and the girls being as close as they were, being able to describe that smell could explain that.
So if we're going down this rabbit hole a little bit, why would we? I mean, that is what I envisioned when you showed me this, and then I was entertaining the fact that possibly it could be this, which the look of it could be. It immediately in my mind triggered the whole Daniel Jacobs. He's a boxer. The whole Annie Jacobs thing. Immediately triggered the whole Annie Jacobs thing in my mind of what she said. And that's just where my mind went with it, because a lot of people, there's more than just her as well. This has been talked about before as a possibility of strange mind games, man. Like, Montauk Project stuff where you mess with people's minds for certain reasons. Stuff like
even if it is just scientific exposure on how we would. Actually,
anything, man. There's been a lot. There's a guy that the government had. He worked on projects for the government, and he lived close to a base that's out in the Nevada desert, and said that, I think I picked up some radio signals here that from your guys' base, and I just wanted to let you know that you can tap into what you guys are saying, and so we don't, I care about our safety and our country, and so I'm letting you know this. And you know what the government did to respond to that helpful information was they hired a guy named Richard Doty to go and talk to him, who's a disinformation guy, and tell him that it was alien signals that he's picking up and not the government. And they go, oh, cool, we learned that our signal can get out, so let's change the frequency, whatever, what have you. And then let's go send this Richard Doty guy out to go convince this guy that he's watching aliens and that there's the flights coming out that we'll send out at night. We'll tell him this is when aliens are going to fly around. Yeah. And they convinced this guy and drove him absolutely insane. They did so many disinformation things with this guy. They said, hey, we'll give you systems that you can look into this stuff for us, and they gave him modified, programming in the computer. They gave him to where they much
fed into
stuff. They could literally send him information that was being sent from the government to convince this fucking guy that there was aliens gonna land. Made him crazy, and he lost his family, lost his house, he lost everything. He went to an insane asylum, and he eventually killed himself. Yeah. So there are, feeding
into a delusion to the point of psychosis.
Yeah, there are a lot of really crazy things that the government has done. Like I said, again, all the Project Montauk stuff is absolutely insane. All of the LSD experiments, absolutely insane. There are literally just things that the government does that if we know about these things now, right? We know those things are facts now. But why? Why did they do it? Just because now we know from many different sources, okay, it's just true. It's not debatable. Those things are facts. They happened.
Yeah.
The government did these experiments. So we just go, oh, yeah, that's fucked up. But why? Why would you do this? What is exactly useful about this? And therefore feeding into, would they do this and use some... Would they use some reason to make them think that an alien and use some deformed, horribly, surgically modified kid or something to do all of this and have the government drive it around and convince people of this? Because if somebody had a child that had this disease and then they just abandoned it, I don't think that we get military officials that come in and have the thing, x-ray and do all they just, you know what I mean? I don't think that we get all of that craziness from this. And that doesn't have, not that this is irrefutable proof, because there is no video, but there is more than one. It's not just a guy. There's multiple eyewitness testimonies about some craft that was floating in the sky, struggling, and then eventually crashed.
Yeah, the struggling.
You would have to want to. You would have to want to. You would have to want to put this together to do this with a purpose of convincing the public that there was an alien crash, if there wasn't.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that you could say would debunk it, but honestly, it could just be a lot to do with military wanting to run experiments on people. It's more psychological experiment than anything else. How would we react as humans if aliens were a reality in our world? And it does seem like some people, whereas they set up structures with the shape of the ship and everything just to bring attraction, shows that some of us are welcoming, while others are very pensive and very scared of it. And that's why you get...
Would you say, okay, and then let's bring this thing back around for a second. Would you say that a lot of the pensive people live in Campinas?
Because they're pensive. Wow.
All right. That's all I got. Let's let Ronnie talk about some stars here. I think we did good there, though.
That was fascinating.
Okay.
As far as stars go, we do
stars
actually...
and bars. Oh wait, let me get your. I'm sorry. I need to intro you. So this young man, to my right, Ronnie was a prostitute turned massive.
Massive.
This young man to my right was a...
You guys heard of Prostinasa?
This young man to my right was a prostitute turned NASA exclusive executive to... Prostitute.
Only a prostitute for NASA agents. Yeah.
Yes. Executive prostitute for NASA, Ronnie. Let's hear it.
Fascinating. Talking about stars. Well, we did I wouldn't say recently. It looks like I do have an article from last year in September where we had found a possibly ocean world. It's an entire exoplanet that's been covered just by ocean. It orbits a star about 100 light years from our own planet, and pretty much it's just all water. They consider it in the Goldilocks zone, or the habitable zone of the star that it does orbit. So there is possibility of life on that planet. There's even possibility for us to be there. It's a little bit bigger than Earth.
It's a real life water world.
Yes, it actually is.
I don't know if you guys are Kevin Costner fans out there, but that was a horrible movie.
That's fair. But it is a real life water world. It's not too close to the sun that the water will evaporate anytime soon. It's not too far away that it would freeze. It's right in that perfect little zone there.
Yeah.
But that brings us to exactly how do we really tell if there is life on planets? We can't. We have ways.
What do we do to look for it?
Right now,
what are our strategies to look for
we
life?
send out radio messages, like scenes in the movie Contact, right?
Contact was a great movie on Life
Yeah,
of the World.
exactly. We'll reference the movies here. But it's more that we actually observe biological signatures in an exoplanet's atmosphere. So we'll look for oxygen in an atmosphere, since that is one of the main life-sustaining elements, right?
Right.
But since it's so hard for oxygen to actually survive in an atmosphere due to other elements or materials in there, we don't see a lot of planets like that. This one, we're still not able to tell exactly what the atmosphere is made up of. We're just recently figuring out Mars's full.
And you know what's so
spectrum of
interesting when you say something really quick? I want you to get back to what you're saying here, but when you talk about this water planet, so the way that we look for oxygen, you were saying, is in the atmosphere, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so right away, first off, you can go down a whole road real quick where you have life that doesn't need oxygen. Because it'd be an alien fucking life form that is not like us, right? So that's a whole road you can go down always. But let's say that it did, and it did need oxygen. Let's feed into that. We look for it in the atmosphere. Now here it would be in our atmosphere because we're here and animals and we're breathing. But you know what lives underwater? Half of the life forms or more that live on this planet, they live underwater and they need oxygen as well. They actually take oxygen out of the water. But you know what their oxygen coming out of the water, it's under the water. So it's in the water. So it wouldn't be shown in the atmosphere. You could have a planet like this all-water planet where there's enough oxygen to form life in the water. And it wouldn't show up necessarily if there wasn't a ton of it to show up in the atmosphere.
Yeah. And the other article I was kind of going off of talking about how we actually determine whether or not a planet is sustainable for our life. That is all I'm going off of. It is basically our life, not other life. Because yes, very well, those kinds of planets, that don't have full atmospheres or oxygenated atmospheres could have a whole variety of creatures we have no idea of.
Yeah.
Right now, we don't even have the telescopes that can determine atmospheric elements that are so far away. We found some planets that are within, some other Earth-sized planets in other habitable zones, but we use a method called the transit method. And I'll just read a brief description of what that is. It's where the planet passes in front of a star, causing the star's observed brightness to dip slightly. But while the planet is in front of the star, some of the star light will pass through the planet's atmosphere. And that's before reaching us. And we observe that by observing that star's spectrum during the planetary transit is how we are trying to figure out atmospheres on other worlds. Which, it's just fucking hard, man.
It's hard, and also it's a little like it's brilliant.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, dude.
Right
These are the brightest minds on our planet.
God.
Like it's brilliant to do, but it's the best that we can do. No, it's a bit inaccurate, I'm sure, by the way that sounds. Is not, it's just the best that we have to work with.
That's why it takes years and years and sometimes decades to get even just small bits of information.
How would they know, for instance, that if you were on one of those different planets and the best that you can do is do it this way to look for oxygen and things in other atmospheres, how would they know that from another planet to looking out to our planet that it would actually show that we have oxygen here? How do they even know that? I mean, maybe it wouldn't even fucking show that, because it's just the best we can do. It's the most brilliant people that we could never be that figure this stuff out. But it's still only the best that we have to work with.
Yeah, until we can settle on another planet and look at Earth from a different perspective, there really wouldn't be much of an answer to that question. Because as of right now, on Earth, atmospheric oxygen is replenished by living things.
Yeah, but
that's why it's
right
determined that is what a life-sustaining planet is.
Yeah. No, I get that. But what I'm saying is if you were outside looking in to our planet, using these kind of strategies might not show that we have oxygen here.
Yeah.
They might have oxygen on these places. It's just that we can't tell by the simplicity of what we have to work with in this stage of our development here of how we look for things.
Yeah. So there is a planetary system that we've been more looking at called TRAPPIST-1. It's about 40 light years away. 7 planets that are roughly Earth-sized. Some a little smaller, some a little bigger. But 4 of them out of those 7 orbit within this other star's habitable zone. And since TRAPPIST-1 is a red dwarf star, it's the zone itself is actually quite close to the star. So all these planets, you know how Earth and our solar system is very spread out?
Yes.
These ones are more condensed
into
itself, which I think that's kind of neat as well. 3 of the... Sorry, not 3. Don't listen to me. Trying to read through my notes.
Yes.
So it's saying if we do assume that those planets have atmospheres similar to Earth's, plenty of free oxygen, it would still take us, 16 to 55 years of observation just to confirm the atmospheric oxygen. And that's even without, that is still with telescopes that we haven't even built yet.
Nice. All right. So we in a gist, or we don't know what we're looking at.
I mean, pretty much. It's very fair to say that they sure seem to think they know what they're looking at, and you know, I love the science behind it all, and I do love hearing about new things in space.
Absolutely.
It is all so crazy and confusing and makes absolutely no sense.
Well, it makes sense, but it's just like, how much can we really do so far? That's the only question. How much are we really able to do so far? Did you see, Ronnie, that NASA is, has listened to us and our podcast, because now NASA with the stars is also
I had to stop
looking for is now looking for alien into alien life and UAPs here on Earth.
What has it been in most recent,
Wow, we were ahead of the time. I just wanted to let you guys know that we did it first. We have a podcast combining NASA, space study, and UAP.
Yeah, so NASA, if you want to collaborate.
Yeah, if we want to get a NASA guy on here, we're Ronnie's a former employee, so to speak.
Jesus. No.
That's pretty cool, though. Ronnie, before we get out of here, we did really good, by the way, I think, on this episode. We jam-packed a lot of...
Way to be humble.
Oh, no, I mean, we killed it. We jam-packed a lot of information into an even shorter episode than last time. But
Talked about Campinas a lot.
Yes, well, and, but before we go, Ronnie, I do want to... before we go, I do want to ask you in a second, that is, what we know about the new black hole and the size schematic that NASA came out with, which is great. And speaking of size,
Campinas.
Yeah. So. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, tell us.
I think it's good to just end it here.
No, come on. Tell us about the black hole thing. That was fucking cool to see the size. What do you call it? The size
Comparison.
Comparison of they start off with the sun and then they zoom out and you can see you can't even see the fucking. Then it zooms out. You get the whole solar system. By the time you're out, never mind the sun. You can't even see the solar system.
But these things are still fucking massive.
I mean, they're taking up the whole screen when you can't even see our solar system anymore.
But it is very interesting because the black hole itself isn't actually that big. It's just gravitational pull is actually warping everything around it, right? That seems to be what makes it look so massive. It's actually just right? So like they say a black hole is nothing. It's just empty. It's not meaning nothing. What's to say that they're using
like what is it called that goes around it? That's when it's sucking everything in. It has like the gravitational
pull.
Pull. But it creates like a Saturn ring looking around it.
Yes.
And they have imagery of that, do they not?
They not actual imagery.
I'm gonna let Ronnie say they don't, and then I'm gonna put some up here on the screen. But go on, Ronnie.
They're artist renditions.
yes, they are. That's true.
Yes. So
Well,
we
so
don't
is
exactly
everything that NASA does.
The
I
most
mean,
recent black hole image would be this one here.
that's real.
That is a real image that they have taken of a black hole. And that is the most recent one.
Fucking cool.
Yeah, and what year was this? This was,
See, so that's not an artist rendition. I'm gonna
that one is
find
not.
that one, and that'll be up on your guys' screen via me.
Yes. I'm trying to figure out exactly when they took the photo. Yeah, so originally released in 2019. So, I mean, even this picture is about 4 years old. And this was in center of the galaxy Messier 87. Wherever that is. But, yeah.
I think that's next to Vagine.
Maybe. Very well could be.
The Yusuf. Doesn't think that's what the mayor's. The Yusuf takes off from Campinas, lands in Vagine.
Yeah. So I guess that ring that you're talking about
go on.
It's actually just hot gas. It is a bright ring of hot gas that falls into the black hole. At least that's what they're saying about the new imagery.
Ronnie, have you tried the new Taco Bell Crunch Wrap?
No.
Because that gives me hot gas. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this one today.
Absolutely.
There's been a lot more jokes than the first one. Goodbye. Thank you.